It's Danielle,
And Ashley.
And Trisha.
and we're back with another book club video. Um, all right, welcome back to another book club video. This time we are doing our book from the month of July, and we read Finding Mr. Right by Kelley Armstrong. I would hold it up, but it's way over there. Um, so we're gonna go through a bunch of questions that are very specific to the book, but I want to start off with what are your overall thoughts, as in, would you read this book again? Are you keeping it on the shelf, or are you gonna unhaul it right away? And what was your star rating overall? Let's go Ashley first.
I think my star rating was a 4. Sorry.
I believe
I
so.
will be keeping it. I did
Hmm.
enjoy it. I will say I think I'm liking the second book a lot more though.
I don't know why you
Oh.
read that early, miss. You better not say anything about the second book while we're still talking about the first.
I won't.
Oh, and she's in trouble. Trisha?
Wrong book. Um,
Yeah.
Overall, I was a little disappointed. This is so far my least favorite Kelley Armstrong book, I think, of
Mm,
all time.
mhm,
I've read books of hers that have romance in them before, but this was the first one where like there wasn't a plot that really gripped me the whole time.
mhm.
I kind of find my attention waving sometimes. And as much as like I still enjoyed it because I don't mind a stereotypical cheesy romance book, it didn't hold up to the standards to which I'm used to Kelley Armstrong books holding up to. So I think right now I haven't officially rated it. But right now I'm sitting at like a 3.5, 3.75, just
Mhm.
because I'm currently still disappointed compared to all of the books by her that I've read before.
Yeah,
So I need to give it a little minute.
Yeah.
fair, fair. I did not like it. I tried to find it to buy it and I couldn't, so I had to rent it from the library. So I will not be keeping it. I'm not gonna steal a library book. I will get into specifics in a few moments, but I really did not like the plot. I didn't care for the characters at all, so I ended up rating it a two,
Based on
a
what you
two
just said,
star.
I was expecting a one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like I
I will
hated it. It
say
was
one.
awful. A one.
There was a couple of redeeming qualities in there, but not enough for me to
Mm,
to want to read it again.
that's fair. And I did forget to say, but while I listen to the audiobook version, I will still be getting a physical copy because I own every Kelley Armstrong book, and I
Mhm.
will continue to do that. Whether or not I'll read this one again has yet to be seen.
hmm
But you also want to own every book club book that we have.
Yes, yes. I have a book club book shelf specifically, so I might have to
Mhm.
get two copies of the book, one for the book club bookshelf and one for the Kelley Armstrong shelf. I haven't decided yet. It depends on like how much I end up rating it. If it's going to be on the shelf for like books by Armstrong that like I know I might reread again, or if it's just going to be reallocated to the book club bookshelf.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
I'm torn about buying it because I'm like I want to have every
Mm.
book club book that we read, but I'm like I don't want to.
that's not a good start to Kelly Armstrong for you.
I
Well, but
know.
it's also way different from the rest of her books, though.
It is.
I
It
knew that
is.
going in. I knew that
Yeah.
going in. So
And
Yeah,
Danielle's
because
not
this is
really a romance girly.
yeah, like this is main romance. Just
bleh.
here.
Yeah.
And don't
Danielle
worry.
needs like the fantasy of time travel
I
I think
or
Omens would be a good one for Danielle to start with.
All right. So, our first question, diving in, what did you think of Daphne's decision to submit her manuscript under a male pseudonym? And do you think the story would have played out the same if she had used her real name? So it's kind of two in one. Trisha? Trisha? Trisha first.
Um, I think that this is a really common thing that you see. I don't know the publishing industry myself, but it's definitely a trope that you see in books that a female author will write under a male author pseudonym.
Mhm.
This book has gone more in depth into that than most that I've seen, where it's not just a pseudonym, but you actually have a male that's pretending to be the author and is like going on tours and everything for the author. So that's a little bit more in depth. And no, I do not think the story would have happened at all if she had just published under her own name.
Hmm.
Ashley?
Yeah, I agree with Trisha about the if she published under her own name, we wouldn't have this book.
No. Um,
Um,
oh, sorry. Keep going.
yeah. Oh no, no. I was just gonna say, but yeah, it's something that you see in real life too, like especially in the olden times where women would have a pen name or like a male name so that they could publish their books.
Mm.
And yeah, sad. It's sad, but
Yeah, I was a bit confused because obviously I don't know the publishing industry. I'm not in that career. However, I like there are a lot of female authors, and so I was a little bit confused about how, like, based on the time it was set in, because obviously it's set in during present now,
mhm.
um, why that was such a big thing that she felt like she had to um file under a male name to get her book published. I know it said that in the book, like she had tried to get it published as her name and then didn't change anything, and then all she did was put it as a male author, and then again, I was confused. And Trisha enlightened me.
So she didn't just change it to be a male author. It's mentioned a couple of times that she also changed the synopsis that she was optioning out to publishing agencies. The
Oh,
book itself stayed the same. The contents of the book stayed the same, but what she was trying to sell was slightly different. Like she overemphasized the more masculine parts of it, like the
Mhm.
hunting, the survival, the zombies. Uh,
Yeah.
that like isn't necessarily as prevalent in the story itself.
then that scene with the I forget her name, the girl who discovers the lie, um, start with an S. Then that scene is confusing because the girl was like, "Oh, well, all you did was change it to a male name. Of course they will publish it now." But then if she changes the synopsis too, see, it was confusing. I was confused.
Well, it's explained to the reader that more than
Yeah,
just the name was changed right at the beginning and then during all of that. But
yeah,
Daphne doesn't actually explain that to the other characters in the book, really. It's just for like the reader to understand because Daphne was more
yeah,
like being overwhelmed with everything coming at her. Like she didn't really be
yeah,
able to process it quickly. Um, I'm wondering if because it is a zombie book and that played into the fact that it needed to be a male author, or if it's the person who ended up optioning at all because he was so masochistic that because it was by a male author, that's why I got optioned up. And it wasn't necessarily that it was a great book. It ended up being, but not that it was necessarily a
yeah,
great book. But because now this male guy is like, ah, perfect. Another white male author. I want this story. I'm going to
yeah.
push for this story.
Mhm.
And this time when she used the male name, she also submitted the full manuscript for them to read, not just the blurb about what it is, which was another change that could have furthered it by being picked up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't, for me anyways, wasn't fully drawn out, that idea of like why she changed it to a male author
Mhm.
name. So I guess that's where me not having that background knowledge of the publishing industry and all that, like where that
Mhm.
got lost for me as a reader, which I think it might have helped if that was further explained. Maybe. Just
Yeah.
my thoughts.
Absolutely fair. And like you know me, when I'm reading a book, I pick up the minute stuff. You can't get names out of me, but the on page like 274, they mentioned this event that happened 10 years ago this one time, and that's what I remember. So
Yeah.
I also don't have a definitive answer as to why she had to be a male author to get this through, other than it pushed the plot along. Uh, but That's all I
Yeah,
remember.
I think it was a plot point, honestly. So our next question is, did the exploration of gender bias feel exaggerated for comedic effect, or do you think it reflected real world issues?
Ash, you can go first this time.
Thank you. I think it was over exaggerated.
Mm,
Um, especially because I believe it says in the book too that she just wanted a male for the photo for the book, like just a photo for him, and like for a couple of interviews, and that was it. Then just turned into this whole like
big.
thing, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm,
we're done. But yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I
Trisha?
it's
agree.
over.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think it was, and it got to a point where it felt over exaggerated, and then
Mhm.
it started to borderline on the area of really corny and cheesy, and
And
I
that's
was,
not for Danielle.
that's not for Danielle.
I have a feeling you would like the second book better. I mean, I don't say like
Yeah,
read it because you don't like romance, but I have a feeling you would like it better.
okay.
Well, we'll never know because that's not what this is about.
Sorry,
Ashley.
sorry, sorry.
All right,
I
our
will
next,
get it out of my mind.
moving on. Chris Stanton is hired to play Zane Remington, but he's far from the rugged persona that he is pretending to be.
Mhm.
So, what did we like? What do you feel? What were your thoughts on that? First of all, of him pretending to be somebody he wasn't, and kind of we also got to see his inner thoughts on that. Thoughts, Trisha?
I thought he was kind of a caricature of like different things. And I don't understand why he had to have three personas at the beginning. Like that part confused me
Ah,
so much because
mm,
he was Chris
Yeah.
Stanton and then he was Chris something or other and then he was Zane Remington and like uh, he had to change his last name to pretend to be the actor, but like Daphne doesn't know all of
yeah,
the actors, so why did he have to change his name to pretend to
Mhm.
be this
yeah,
other Chris? And then already knowing that he's an actor that's going to pretend to be Zane, why does he have to pretend to be this douchey, rude guy as the actor?
uh,
Can't he just be his
Mhm.
normal self and act the role of Zane instead of being like, oh no, the actor that I'm pretending to be isn't like me. He's not soft and nice. He's going to make fun of people. Oh, but then on top of that, I also have to pretend to be super outdoorsy and like stare down grizzlies and blah, blah, blah. And it was so confusing to me. I couldn't
yeah,
understand it at the beginning. Like it just,
Mhm.
when he dropped the actor pseudonym, I was like, thank you. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that it felt like the Zane was the character in a movie, and then he was the actor, like portraying the character in the movie. It got way too confusing. And then it was like his whole personality at the beginning was like, he wants to be this actor guy and he doesn't care about being an accountant or whatever. But then by the end, he had the whole PowerPoint presentation that was like, I love accounting. I was like, what? Since when? Like
I think he was confused.
I think we were confused. I think there was too much with Chris that got changed throughout, and I don't like when you feel like you're reading the book as the author is writing it. It's like
Mhm.
and I know Kelley Armstrong's a really good author, but that to me disappointed me because I was like the ideas didn't feel fully drawn out, and it was almost like she didn't go back and check what she had done in the first few chapters with this character by the end of the book. So that was really confusing. I did not
Mhm.
lie.
I also found it confusing at the end when the like big blow up happens and Chris decides to go off on his own. I'm like, you've just
Yeah.
spent so much time with this girl. You
Mhm.
know how she thinks, but now all of a sudden you're this stupid macho idea of nah, she's proven she doesn't need me. I'll let her do it on my own and not tell her that I'm there for her. Like that didn't fit with the Chris that had been portrayed throughout the rest of the story, like the real Chris Stanton, not the fake actor Chris.
Yeah, and the Daphne at the end didn't fit with the like she was like he's running on stage to be like my protector. Like he's a good guy. I I was like, who are these people?
Yeah, like
Like
I understood that for Daphne, she had the past romance trauma and
Yeah.
everything, like a really bad boyfriend
With
situation, and
Anthony.
everything, which
Mhm.
Chris didn't know about. But still, Chris came back, and her first thought was, no, he's just stepping on my toes again. He's taking over. And I'm
yeah,
like,
I don't I don't get it. I I didn't like their personalities and the character change. I didn't get it. It was too confusing. Like the beginning didn't match with the middle and it didn't match with the end. It was confusing.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that.
Continuing to our next question. Daphne and Chris both have their secrets in this book. How do their hidden truths affect their relationship and the story's progression? Ashley, you can go first this time.
Yeah, I feel like it didn't really like affect it that much. Like the secrets weren't that big, and I just feel like if they talked, then the secrets wouldn't be secret. Like I
Hmm.
don't know. To me, it was just like, oh, okay, like just talk it out, and
Yeah.
you don't need these secrets. It's fine.
Hmm. Trish?
I mean, I agree a little bit with Ash, where like the secrets weren't big and they were blown out of proportion.
Mhm.
But I think more they were used for like plot progression,
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
used to explain certain behaviors, like Daphne's ex leaving a note that was hinted at
Hmm.
pretty early on, to the reader, not to Chris. And then when Chris does it and he does it poorly and he doesn't say that he's still in town, he just packs up and leaves from the adjoining suite, which was such a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
Like that helps the reader understand why Daphne was so upset at him leaving. And like
Yeah.
it was like Ash said, it was a lot of miscommunications. Daphne was like, "Oh, why didn't he just find me before the signing? He could have cut through the stacks and met up with me beforehand." And like Chris tried and he couldn't. And it was just like one thing
Hmm.
after another. He tried to catch the train. He didn't even think about calling
Oh
her
my
to say,
gosh,
"Hey, wait
right?
for me."
Yeah.
Like
What do we live in
all
the
of these things.
1940s? You're running
Like,
down
oh,
the book felt very clunky after the scene when they were at her home. Like when the
mm,
film crew was there, after that, the book felt very clunky. Like it was
Hmm.
trying to fit in as many romance book tropes as it could. Like it,
Yeah.
like I'm picturing a 1940s man running down the platform to catch the train. Like, sir! And then he was confused that the train doors don't open. Like, oh, I can't pry open the doors? Hello? Have you never taken a train before? I was like, what is happening? The when I saw this question of their secrets, the other thing too was we learned that Daphne's mom had chemo and
Yeah.
she basically wrote this story for her mom.
Mhm.
But I was confused because she seems to care so much about getting her story published. And then towards the end, the book said, "Oh, I just wrote this for my mom. Like I didn't even care that it got this much attention." I'm like, but that's a change from like it felt like I said, it
mhm,
felt after the film crew was filming at her house, I felt like the plot changed.
Mhm.
And like I don't know why, but that was the vibe I got and the tone that I got.
mhm. Two things to
Mhm.
follow up from that. First, the mom thing. It seemed like she really wanted to get it published because of her mom, and then once it was optioned and became a success, she started to really care about it being big and like being the
Mhm.
best story she could make it be. Uh,
Yeah.
the second thing, I completely agree. It felt like the first story in this book was him being, or Chris being Zane at Daphne's place and everything, and like the outdoorsy aspect. And like it was a cozy romance from there. But once
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
went on tour, I agree. It seemed like a completely
Nice.
different
Yeah.
book. I
Yeah.
fully agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you, so I feel like this is a big question. How did you feel about the romantic development between Daphne and Chris? Ashley, you start.
It was, to me, it was very rushed, I feel like.
Hmm.
And I know that they did like a bunch of things like at her house. They did like a bunch of things together. And they were together like for the tour, but I don't know. To me, it just seems like there could have been more
Hmm.
to push them together instead of just living together in the same house and then going on. I don't know. I feel like there could have been more.
Yeah. Trisha?
I mean, absolutely. If you think about the timeline that we were given, it was 3 days at Daphne's house and like a week from tour, and they were
Mhm.
instantly in love. And insta love can be done well. I don't necessarily know that it was done well here, but it can be done well. Um, I think for the pacing of the book itself, the pacing of the romance makes sense, but also the pacing of the book was kind of clunky.
Yeah.
So if we were looking at like the first bit where it's just at Daphne's house, to me, that part of the romance made sense. And like maybe
Yeah.
even
Yes.
the first stop of their tour where it comes out that Daphne wants a fling and Chris wants it to be long term. That
Yeah.
Hmm.
portion of their romance really made sense to me. And
Hmm.
then it seemed like they stopped talking about it. And it just became this like instant, really deep connection, everything. And they didn't talk about the fact that Daphne had insecurities and wasn't ready for more. And Chris
Hmm.
wasn't willing to have it be just a fling. He wanted it to be a forever thing. And like he was looking towards the future and she didn't want the future. And in real life, if you've got a relationship that started based on those things, like that's definitely something you need to think about and like discuss with each other to find out if
Yes.
you're going to be a match or not. Because
Yeah.
Ashley and Danielle know, Brandon and I have known each other for 10 years. We've only been dating for a little over 2 years. And when we
Hmm.
first met each other, we had a very similar conversation where we were like, yeah, no, don't want this to be a dating thing. Like 8 years down the line, that changed, but it's allowed to change. You still need that conversation to understand that you're still at the same level. You still understand where the other person's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that. Like, given what the timeline that was in the book doesn't match the feeling that you get from their relationship. Like you feel like they've known each other for almost a year, more than a year, or they've been together for more than a year. And you're like, it's been like 2 weeks. And it's like this intense, which I get it. Like there are some relationships that are super intense in the beginning, of a lot with having to do with the physical intimacy part that I get.
Hmm.
However, like it was like they've been dating for years and years and years,
Yeah.
with like the way their inner thoughts were working towards the end of the book. Like, I agree. From the beginning to just after that film crew leaves her house, I was with it. It was like, I felt like it was a well drawn out romance story. I felt like
Hmm.
it was very well done. I felt like it was like a nice paced, slow burn, not too slow, not too fast. And then all of a sudden, it was like a switch was flipped as soon as they started on that book tour, and I didn't like that. Like it felt like a completely different vibe, a completely different book, completely different cast of characters. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think of the book tour scenes, and did they add to the story's momentum or feel like filler? Trisha?
Personally, if I'm looking at just the second half of the story where it is the book tour, it makes sense. Like
Mhm.
it deals with understanding each other more as people. It shows their discussion about who's going to continue to be the face of the story, if Daphne's going to come clean or not. It's got a blackmail aspect where Daphne's neighbor is like, hey, if you don't let me live at your place, I'm going to basically ruin your new career that you're starting because I like your house
Mhm.
more than where I'm currently living. Like
Mhm.
all of those things super make sense looking at the book tour. And I do think that all of those different beats helped move the plot along. But if we're looking at the book as a whole, concerning also the first bit where Daphne and Chris are like meeting each other for the first time, they're at Daphne's house and everything, it feels a little bit more forced in the book tour than it did at her place, because at her place it was like slow, methodical. They were getting to know each other on a personal level. They were learning how to work together to pretend to uh, have this author be like the author and not just a pseudonym of a face that's been put to it. That it was a lot slower and more thought out in the first half than it was the second. So if you just look at the second part, the book tour, I think it makes sense, but together it kind of didn't mesh well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ashley?
Yeah, I totally agree with Trish. I was going to say like like I understand why it was in the book, but kind of felt like filler too.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, no, like everything Trisha said, yeah, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like they were trying to force two different storylines. I feel like it would have been better if the book was like just at her place and then
Mhm.
like the film crew was staying for a few weeks to film about this author who is this new up and coming author, made the New York Times bestseller list, like all this stuff. I feel like I would have totally been on board with
Yeah.
that interaction because even like the scene on the fishing boat I thought was really cute. I thought it was a really good scene. They learned a little bit about each other. They got put into a dangerous situation when the boat fell over. Like I really liked that, and I felt like that was the vibe that the cover was giving too. Was that they were gonna be like out in this wilderness together. So, like, I would have loved if the book had just stayed there, but I felt like the book tour completely switched the vibe uh to make the storyline like Chris was more douchey. It felt like they were being set up as these people that were being fraudulent, deceiving everybody, when it could have just stayed what it was in the beginning. So I did not like that it went to the book tour. I did not like that it felt like such a quick transition between those two storylines. So yeah.
Yep. Also, hang on. I wrote some. I wish Tiki the dog was in it more. I missed her when they went on the book
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah, like I liked that that relationship too, like where whenever Chris would change into his Zane voice, like the dog was like, "Nuh-uh, change back." Like you are. I liked that. And it was like I feel like
It's
Kelley
cute.
Armstrong has such a solid plot going for her at this she should have just kept it to what it was at the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
So, if this book were adapted into a movie or television series, who would you cast as Daphne and Chris?
Ashley's already answered this question. Can she remember who she said?
Oh
Oh yes,
yeah, she
I
answered this
said
for a
Jake.
readathon.
Yes, Jake Gyllenhaal was Chris, and Zendaya was Daphne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, do you still think that that would be who you would now that you've
No,
had some time?
I feel like I need to pick someone else for Daphne. I think Zendaya is too good for. She could
Whoa.
do the role, but Zendaya is just like way up there, and Daphne's just.
Well, originally you were going to say Emma Stone.
Yes. I mean, I love Emma Stone. No, I'm gonna have to come back to me. I'm gonna have to think about a new Daphne, but I still think Jake Gyllenhaal
All
for
right.
Chris.
Trisha?
I think you should answer this one first, Danielle. Put you in the hot seat where you have to answer first.
Okay. For Chris, I would probably say Tom Holland because, and I know Ashley was originally going to say Tom Holland. I do agree. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is too much of the ruggedness that we saw with Chris,
Yeah.
like what's portrayed on the cover. I think Tom Holland, the clunking around that this book offered of Chris, the pretending like, oh, I'm so tough and manly. I think Tom Holland could do a really good job with that, and I
Agree
think
with.
that um, the vibe that I got from Chris in this book, I would say Tom Holland fit the vibe from the start to the end. I think Jake Gyllenhaal, if it was just the first part, would be a good cast.
Would be good, yeah.
For Daphne, I think Emma Watson. I think that she would be really good at portraying that sort of unsure of herself. The does he really care about me? Does he not? They can have fun with it, but also seriousness. I think she would do a fantastic job. So,
Yeah.
Tom Holland and Emma Watson. Trisha?
So, on a similar but also very different vibe, uh, for Chris, hear me out, Chris Evans, because you saw the transformation in Captain America, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
He could
Yeah.
easily play the like
yeah,
scrawny accountant that Chris has like photos of and like shows of himself from before he became like, oh, the gym really agrees with me. I'm really buff now. So like
yeah,
Hmm.
that, I think Chris Evans has proven that he can play that kind of role.
yeah,
And then for Daphne, I'd say Jennifer Lawrence because she's also played roles where she's been like the outdoorsy person, but also is a complete klutz. And like I think
yeah.
she could pull off the complete opposites in that role.
Fun fact, Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Evans, who were I said for my read when we got this question, for the book Half-Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So if you want to
That's
check
right.
out those answers, go to our readathon video.
I promise I was not stealing your answers. I
No, but
legitimately think they'd fit.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. I
Yeah.
think. All right, Ashley, we're coming back. Hello?
For the girl, I think maybe Scarlett Johansson could do it.
Fair. I don't know.
I know,
I
I
don't know
know,
if I
I
agree with.
know we've seen her in action stuff, but I've seen her in other movies where I feel like in the first half she'd be really good, especially like scaring off the grizzly bear, um, and like pretending to be the housekeeper.
Mhm.
I like in the first half, and then in the second half, where especially when she's just like, get off my like when the like in the final scene when he comes to save her during the
Mhm.
book the what was it, like a book signing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like I have a feeling she'd be really good in that scene too, and be like, I was gonna do it, like why are you here?
yeah, yeah. And
That's
then
fair.
for Chris,
I still say Jake Gyllenhaal.
okay,
I think he could do it.
fair.
Or Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
No,
I could.
not Reynolds. Gosling.
Gosling?
Gosling.
I could see. Yeah, I could see both.
Yeah. I was thinking of Gosling, but Ryan Reynolds could do it too. He'd be funny.
All right. So, what message or takeaway stuck with you the most? Actually, I'm sorry. I'm gonna pause, and we're gonna go back to this question in a second. I want to know what were your thoughts on the proposal scene? Because I had thoughts.
Ash,
There
do
was
you
a
remember the
proposal scene.
proposal?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, there was. Yeah, sorry.
Ashley, I need to take a second to judge you.
I need to take a nap.
Trisha has to collect herself.
I'm sorry, I forgot about the epilogue.
Did you read it?
I did read it, yes, but I totally forgot that that happened.
Okay.
Mm.
Very quick rundown. They're on a hike. There's a bottle in the water next to them. And Chris is like, oh, someone's littering. Like, I've got to take care of it. So he takes off his shoes and his socks and he goes to get it. And Daphne's like, just leave it. It's garbage. He's like, I'm a future environmentalist in training. You've taught me well. I'm going to go get it. And he grabs this bottle and he's like, hey, there's something in it. And Daphne's like, yeah, there's garbage in garbage, whatever. And he's like, no, read it, read it. So she opens it and it says something like look down,
Around.
turn around, and she like
Oh,
looks and she doesn't see Chris like standing in front of her and he goes, wow, you're really bad at following directions, aren't you? And she turns around and he's on one knee.
proposing.
Yeah, so I forgot about it. That's how bad.
So, what were your thoughts?
Could have been a lot better, that's for sure. Um, I feel like he should have done something with the dog, like the bringing the dog like with the ring like around her collar or something.
Well, the dogs were
Um,
there because it was Tiki and they had a puppy that I don't remember the name of.
yeah, I forget the
That
name of the
they were
puppy.
walking the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're walk dogs.
yeah. If anything, I would have like grabbed like Tiki aside and like tied it to her collar and be like, "Oh, hey, like there's something on her. Like, what is this?" And then all of a sudden, it's a ring, and I feel like that
Yeah.
could have been better instead of, "Oh, look, a bottle, litter."
I I physically gagged. I was like, I was like, are you like kidding me? That what? I oh, did it say if any time had passed? Because I don't think it did. Like I know that they some time has
It's been a
passed.
year. It's been a
Yeah,
year.
it's
A
been a year.
year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. 1 year later.
I think I think there's nothing wrong with a proposal. That proposal was disgusting. Like a
There's something
message
wrong with
in
that
a
one.
bottle, and it's like it's disgusting in the way of like again they're trying to force in another cheesy corny thing. Like by the end of it it got so cheesy. I literally was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And I couldn't I couldn't.
Okay,
It
now
was
hear me out.
okay.
If that proposal had come after the first half of the story,
I would have liked it.
it would have been great. It would have
Yeah.
been great. It would have been
It would have
perfect.
been okay.
When it
I would have
was
been
out
here
in the
for it.
wild and they were learning each other in the wilderness and
Mhm.
everything, it would have been great.
Yeah.
Coming after spending a majority of the book on a book tour and like all of the issues, that's where I had an
Yeah.
issue with it. I was like, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
It again, it felt like it was two different casts of characters. I felt like I was seeing Chris and Daphne in one perspective and Chris and Daphne in another perspective. Like
Mhm.
two different couples, two different characters. It was so cringy after the whole book tour thing. And it was just like even like his big speech, "Hello, Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello." I That's all I was picturing. Have you both seen Jerry Maguire?
No.
Oh.
Okay. First off, everything that happened. I hate reading romance books. I am a stan for romance movies. I love the romance movies. In Jerry Maguire, Jerry messes up, okay? And Renee Zellweger, she takes her child away and goes back to her sister's house. And Jerry, who is played by Tom Cruise, comes in and says, they're like having a whole women's party, and he's like, "Hello, ladies." And he goes on this huge grand speech about how he loves her and he always loved her and he needs her and he needed her and his life was better since he met her. And that whole train scene, and then she stops and goes, "You had me at hello." And that whole train scene, I'm just thinking of all of these 80s movies with the romance, and I'm like, what are we I was in love with those characters at the first half of the book, and the second half was just like, let's put every 80s romance trope stuck into a couple hundred pages. So those are my thoughts.
I love your thoughts.
That was
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so glad I was here for that.
All right, back to the other one. So, what message or takeaway stuck with you the most after finishing the book?
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
That we all need a
The takeaway was there are way better romance novels.
My takeaway is Danielle hates romance books.
No,
yeah.
I hate modern contemporary romances. Don't get me wrong, okay? The classics will always be classic. I prefer my romance in movie form. Okay?
There we
That's
go.
my
Here's the difference, Danielle. You like books that have romance aspects to them. You
I
don't
do
like romance
Yeah.
books.
I really like romantasy. That is
Mhm.
my comfort genre where you've got a good
Mhm.
fantasy book and there's a nice romance plot line like thrown in there, but then
Mhm.
they go and kill a dragon. That's what I prefer.
Or solve a murder.
Or solve a
Or,
murder.
murder,
Yeah.
or commit
Yes.
a murder.
Yes.
Yes. Like
I'm
temp
kind of because the Kelley Armstrong's books are like that.
All right. Would you recommend this book to others? If so, why? If not, why not? Ashley, as someone who
I
rated it
mean,
first.
yeah, 4 stars. I would no, I wouldn't. I
Mm,
would have to know. Sorry, no, it depends. I would have to know their reading style first.
fair.
So if
Yeah.
they're okay with like very vanilla, very much like this type of stories, then yes, I would recommend it to them. But
Mm,
if they're not, then I would tell them to read a different Kelley Armstrong book and go
okay.
to Omens because I really like that one.
Trisha?
I am in line with Ash where it depends. Because I have a couple of friends that very much like romance, but like the fade to black aspect. They're not in it for the nitty gritty that happens between the sheets.
Mhm.
Those people I might recommend it to. But if it's someone I'm trying to introduce to Kelley Armstrong, who is one of, if not my favorite author of all time, this is not the one I would go with. If
Mhm.
it's someone who I know isn't a huge romance person, this isn't a book I would go with. But I can think of times where I would recommend this book.
Yeah.
I agree with the both of them. I think that, yeah, it definitely depends on if you know the person's reading style and reading preferences, or like if they're like, hey, you read that book. This should I read it? I'd be like,
Yeah.
gonna try if you want. I mean, but if I know they're like me, and I'd be like, nah, girl, nah. Let me lead you to the other ones, the better ones. So yeah, I think it depends. Definitely depends on
Mhm.
who you are and what you like to read and how you
Yeah.
like your romance delivered to you.
Yeah.
All right, so that wraps up our book club talk for this month. Definitely stay tuned for our book club for next month, which is going to be Payback's a Witch by Lena Harper. And that is going to be Trisha's, she's up here from me, um, pick for her birthday month of August. So stay tuned. I'm excited. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. All right, y'all. As always, leave us a comment down below. Have you ever read Finding Mr. Right by Kelley Armstrong? If you have, let us know what you thought. If you're like these two and you love Kelley Armstrong, what do you think of this one that's very different from what she usually writes? If you've never tried a Kelley Armstrong like Danielle, I would not start with this one. definitely check us out on all our socials. We got TikTok, we got Instagram. We try to post on there as regularly as we can. And as always, take a look at the channel, see what you like, give us a comment, give us a follow. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.